What is up everyone, Dan here, and today I am going to be doing my review for Call of Duty World War II. Now this is of course the latest Call of Duty game developed by Sledgehammer and produced by Activision. This was a game that a lot of people were having their eyes peeled on because of course it's the first Call of Duty game since World at War in 2008 to go back to a World War II setting. So obviously I was very interested for this game. Of course, Sledgehammer's previous Call of Duty game was Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, which I actually really enjoyed. I would probably say going into this game it was my favourite Call of Duty game this generation. So I did have quite high expectations for this game in terms of Call of Duty standards, which isn't exactly the highest, but still I was very interested to going into this game, and I've got to say I was actually not disappointed. I actually think legit this might be the best Call of Duty game this generation, but let's just get into my review so we can get into my points as to why I think of that. So this review is going to be divided into 3 sections, which I usually tend to do with these Call of Duty type of games, which is the story, the multiplayer, and the zombies. So we're going to start off of course with story / campaign. So of course the campaign of this game essentially begins at the very beginning of D-Day, the D-Day Normandy landings, where you play an American trooper. You previously were a farmer, you've joined the army, you're about to join the US Army and the British and Allied forces to push on the Germans in a last-ditch attempt to win the war. This is obviously in 1944, 1 year before World War II ends, and the campaign essentially follows you throughout that timeline of from the D-Day landings to the end of the war, and it feels like this one continuous push journey from start to finish. And I've got to say I actually really enjoyed this campaign more than I thought I would. I wasn't the biggest fan of Infinite Warfare's campaign. I found that campaign very lackluster from many areas, from a plot standpoint, to a mission standpoint, to a character standpoint. Here I just felt like it was very well done, and I think the thing I liked about it the most was the fact that I just enjoyed the fact that it was based on something that was, semi-realistic, because, this stuff actually happened. And because of that, I felt like that gravitated me in far more than other Call of Duty campaigns, as of recent memory. There were some amazing set pieces. I mean, the opening mission, of the D-Day landings was absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Fantastic mission, I honestly have to say. It was very memorable. And all the missions themselves were very fun to play. Very memorable, like I said, probably helped by the fact that, it's based on real life events, stuff that actually happened. So I think that fact made it a bit more relatable and a bit more engaging compared to, other Call of Duty campaigns. I thought the characters were okay. There were some characters that, you kind of care for, but no characters that you really get really attached to. But to be honest, this is Call of Duty. You never really should be going in with those kind of expectations for the story. But no, I was quite invested in what was going on, and like I said, I thought the set pieces in the game were actually very good because they didn't feel like too overblown. I mean, there's one set piece in the game that does feel like it's a little bit too much, but I think because of the fact it feels grounded in World War II, the set pieces for me were far more memorable than what I got in the other games, especially Infinite Warfare. That game was just far too many explosions around me. But I really enjoyed the campaign. The missions were cool. I liked the arsenal, the weapons that you had in the game, and just overall I thought the story flowed quite well. I actually thought it had quite a nice ending to it. I won't spoil it in case obviously people haven't finished the campaign, but I quite enjoyed the ending, like what that did. And I just felt like this was just a fantastic campaign. Very solid, doesn't do anything extraordinary, but it's just very solid, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if I go back and maybe replay it, because it's not that long. It's only took me about 5 to 6 hours to beat the campaign, and I honestly had a good time with it, and definitely a better campaign than most we've gotten from Call of Duty this generation. So now let's go into the multiplayer. And originally I really wasn't expecting much from the multiplayer because I've never really been a massive hardcore Call of Duty multiplayer game guy, whatever. So I haven't really played Call of Duty multiplayer hardcore really since, I would have to say, Black Ops 1, because Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1, those were the 2 multiplayers that I really played loads of. Ever since then I've never really been the biggest fan. I mean, Advanced Warfare got me back into it slightly, but not to that extent. But I've got to say, with World War II's multiplayer, I was very impressed. I think the immediate thing that I liked about it the most was just, the whole fact that the gameplay just removes the jetpacks, which I just found were far too gimmicky in the previous two Call of Duty games. It really just showed me how much I enjoyed this. Now, I'm going to say it again, like all the freaking devs say, boots on the ground gameplay. Oh my god, what a fucking word. But I really enjoyed the multiplayer because it just felt like it was purely skill-based. It didn't feel like you could be a newbie player and, do well because you use your jetpack to escape in stupid situations. And I just found the multiplayer very enjoyable. The maps are a lot more close quarter than the previous games, but I actually quite enjoyed that. And the multiplayer itself and the progression system to the weapons, they all feel very, very good. It's nothing extraordinarily different. The only major different bit really added to the multiplayer is the headquarters section, which is basically just the same as what you had in Destiny. It's no real different to that. It's a pretty small area. But I like that they added it in, but it wasn't really that much of a big, something they implemented into the game that's like, oh shit, that's really innovative. It's not really on that kind of a level, but I still really appreciated that at least they did that, and at least it makes the multiplayer a tad bit more social than the previous ones. But yeah, I found the multiplayer really fun. The only issues I really have is that sometimes I have experienced some pretty shocking matchmaking, especially on the first week. I found it almost impossible at times to find games, especially in those first few days of the game's launch. Like, I think I only played about 2 games because all of my games either I got disconnected from or I just couldn't find a match at all. And I'm still having those problems right now, not long after making this review, which is kind of crazy. But hopefully, Activision can iron these out and we won't have, these issues as frequently as we have them now, because I don't really remember any Call of Duty multiplayer having this unstable at launch. So fingers crossed Sledgehammer can iron this out and this won't become as big of an issue after this review comes out. What I will say, however, is that there is one mode that I played that I actually really enjoyed, and that was the, I believe, War mode. And it's kind of like this this mode where you have 2 teams. One team has to defend a location. They have to try and hold off the opposition team for as long as possible. And it's kind of like, it feels like a bit of a story-driven mode. And originally when I looked at this mode, I was like, oh, it doesn't look that good. But I will admit, the more I played of it, the more engaged I was by it. It's a really surprising mode. I was very surprised with how much I actually enjoyed it. So I hope this mode gets a bit more recognition, because I really enjoyed it. Of course, you've got other modes as well, but I just wanted to point that one mode out because I did feel it was quite a nice addition to the multiplayer. And then lastly, we have the zombies mode. Now, I'm going to be honest, this is probably the weakest area of World War II, mainly because I just feel like I'm kind of getting a bit sick of the whole zombie formula now. It's like every Activision developer now has to include zombies in their Call of Duty game, and it is getting slightly boring. But what I will give credit to Sledgehammer is the fact that I do feel like, for once, it actually feels difficult to play a zombies game, because my biggest problem with the zombies mode is that they're just far too easy. It's too easy to round up zombies into a train and just mow them all down. Whereas in here, it just felt a little bit harder. I will also admit that I much preferred the setting of the base map, the first map obviously that comes with the game. Felt very claustrophobic. It definitely feels like it has more of a horror aspect to it, which makes sense considering most of the lead designers, it's Sledgehammer Games, previously worked on Dead Space, when they were at Visceral Games. And I really, enjoyed the zombies mode, but I just don't really see myself playing it for as long as, something like the Black Ops Zombies, because I feel like that's by far the strongest zombies mode from all of the Call of Duty series. The Black Ops Zombies has always been the best, but this wasn't too bad. I mean, it's got freaking David Tennant in it. I mean, who doesn't love David Tennant? It's just, I enjoy it, but yeah, I just can't really see myself playing a lot of it for the foreseeable future. But I mean, if you're somebody who likes zombies, if you love doing the Easter eggs, if you like searching every nook and cranny of the map, then you never know, you might find something here, to please your appetite more than I did. So with that all being said, I will give you my final verdict for Call of Duty World War II. I am going to give the game an 8 out of 10. I definitely think it probably might be the best Call of Duty game of this generation, just above Advanced Warfare. I don't really know because I wouldn't be able to tell because I sold my copy of Advanced Warfare like 2 years ago. But I really did enjoy it. I was very pleased. Hopefully this will now mean that we get less of these bullshit, you know, future Call of Duty games and more of these, you know, kind of more gritty and realistic COD games. I mean, I don't really expect there to be a great Call of Duty game for a while. I mean, the last truly great COD game for me was probably Black Ops 1. But fingers crossed, hopefully this is the, you know, indication that maybe, just maybe, we could actually get one of these days a great Call of Duty game. And I think this is a good marker. I think Sledgehammer are easily becoming my favorite Call of Duty developers, above Treyarch, above whatever the fuck, Infinity Ward, whatever the fuck. I don't even like that studio anymore. But with that all being said, I'd like to thank you very much for watching my review for Call of Duty World War II. If you want to know any more questions about how I felt about the game, or you just want to let me know your opinions and thoughts on World War II, then of course let me know in the comment section down below. And with that being said, I would like to thank you all very much for watching the video, and I hope to see you again next time.